This is a United States military base. I am American. America built this country.
Johnny Somali has reportedly left South Korea according to newly leaked footage, but the chaos he left behind is far from over. The US government now finds itself in an awkward and potentially unprecedented position, as Somali's outrageous behavior abroad has sparked serious international fallout. Leaving the country hasn't spared him from trouble. In fact, a new legal case against him is gaining significant momentum, and it might be the most severe challenge he's ever faced. The uproar began when Somali recklessly broadcasted North Korean propaganda while in South Korea, an outright violation of the country's strict laws against promoting anything connected to North Korea. A prominent lawyer recently posted on X, highlighting just how grave Somali's actions are. This is no longer just about disruptive behavior or questionable stunts. By sharing North Korean propaganda, he didn't just cross the line, he bulldozed straight into a matter of national security. South Korea, fiercely protective of its national security, is now keeping an eagle eye on him. Reports suggest that Seoul prosecutors are meticulously tracking his every move. What's truly shocking is Somali's apparent lack of awareness or complete disregard for the gravity of his actions. Despite the clear legal risks, he repeatedly engaged in behavior that blatantly violated South Korea's stringent laws. Speculation is rampant that Johnny Somali's relentless thirst for clout blinds him to the serious consequences of his actions. But this is no longer just a matter of internet pranks. His antics have spiraled into a full-blown political controversy, carrying the weight of severe legal implications. A lawyer recently highlighted how this situation has moved far beyond Somali's typical chaos. This isn't just mischief, it's a direct challenge to South Korea's core principles on national security. With the stakes climbing higher by the day, the world is now watching closely as South Korean and US authorities deliberate their next steps. Shockingly, some reports suggest Somali could even face charges as a North Korean agent, though this would likely serve as a symbolic condemnation of his outrageous actions. The odds of being charged as an actual spy might be slim, but his reckless decisions, including playing North Korean propaganda and openly mocking South Korea, have virtually guaranteed he'll face a harsh punishment. Experts argue that his blatant attempts to provoke conflict are more than enough to warrant a severe response from South Korean prosecutors. Adding fuel to the fire, speculation has emerged that Somali could be eyeing refuge in North Korea, a desperate move to escape South Korean prosecution. His recent videos expressing support for North Korea have raised eyebrows, with some theorizing he's trying to win favor with the regime in Pyongyang. Yet, many dismiss this idea as wildly unrealistic. See you in the next video. Those were Johnny Somali's parting words, but his situation is far from over. Reports suggest South Korean intelligence agents are closely monitoring his every move, making it virtually impossible for him to slip across any borders unnoticed. Meanwhile, locals have flocked to social media to share their thoughts, with one user quipping, "This guy's gonna end up with a 50-year sentence when it's all said and done." While the comment might seem exaggerated, it reflects the seriousness of Somali's predicament. His actions haven't just infuriated South Koreans, they've boxed him into a corner where escape seems almost impossible. Under mounting pressure, Somali appears to be scrambling to salvage his reputation. He recently released an apology video addressing his controversial antics at the Comfort Women statue. However, critics have slammed the apology as shallow and insincere. To make matters worse, he reportedly deleted the story where he played the North Korean anthem, likely an attempt to soften the fallout from his reckless behavior. Yet, for many, these efforts are simply too little, too late. Somali's provocations have crossed numerous boundaries, and his last-minute contrition does little to undo the damage. South Korean prosecutors are said to be rapidly building a case, determined to hold him accountable. Legal experts have noted that his use of North Korean propaganda, including playing their national anthem, is a direct violation of South Korea's stringent laws, which strictly prohibit such acts. The legal ramifications of Johnny Somali's actions are profound, especially given his repeated public displays of DPRK-related content, both online and in person. The Legal Mindset, a well-known analyst, pointed out that Somali's behavior goes far beyond attention-seeking. It could be interpreted as a direct violation of national security laws. Fueling the outrage is a now viral video showing Somali playing the Imperial Japanese Army March while performing the Roman salute, a brazen act that enraged Koreans and many others around the world. In the clip, Somali taunts Koreans, saying they should go fight Japan, instead of directing their anger at him. This outright provocation is widely regarded as an insult, not only to South Korea but to global sensibilities, making his actions even more shocking. A South Korean news agency reported on the incident, stating, "Johnny Somali played the Imperial Japanese Army March while displaying the Roman salute, then incited war by telling Korea to fight Japan." The backlash was swift and relentless. One user wryly suggested, maybe Johnny Somali could become a unifying force for North and South Korea. They could work together on his punishment, send him to a North Korean labor camp for life, and let South Korea film it as a reality show of him crying himself to sleep. Though humor has crept into the discourse, the grim reality of Somali's behavior remains undeniable. His actions have veered into the realm of outright absurdity, leaving many to question how far he'll go and how severe the consequences will be. From inciting international tensions to the bizarre act of assaulting a fish in South Korea, Johnny Somali's behavior defies all sense of logic. His increasingly erratic actions show a complete disregard for cultural and legal boundaries, leading critics to claim he's a danger to anything or anyone that crosses his path. The calls for swift and decisive punishment have only grown louder. A recent post on X captured the escalating stakes, stating, "Nuisance live streamer Johnny Somali faces an additional 7 years in prison for spreading North Korean propaganda, on top of the 10 years he's already facing for assault and other charges in South Korea." The grim potential sentence highlights the gravity of his situation, yet Somali's apparent indifference remains startling. Despite a mountain of legal trouble, he continues to project a baffling confidence, bordering on arrogance. Some speculate that he's clinging to the unlikely hope of fleeing to North Korea, though most dismiss this as pure fantasy. South Korean authorities appear determined to ensure he's held accountable for his disruptive and provocative actions. The debate about his fate has spilled onto Reddit, where users are weighing in on his potential punishment. One user predicted, "Given the politics, I think he'll get somewhere between 12 to 16 years, with the possibility of early parole to appear lenient but not too lenient." Another chimed in, arguing, "South Korea cannot afford to be soft in this case." For many, Somali's reckless defiance of South Korean laws leaves little room for sympathy, and even less room for leniency. The South Korean legal system appears to have reached a tipping point. Many argue that leniency is no longer an option. Anything less than a severe response risks damaging the nation's credibility on the world stage. South Korean citizens are unlikely to tolerate any softness either, as it would send the wrong message about addressing crimes and disrespecting the country's history and values. The broader implications of Johnny Somali's case have sparked an international debate. Speculation is growing that South Korean authorities have likely engaged in diplomatic discussions with the US to coordinate a strategy for handling this volatile situation. Somali's actions, desecrating sensitive monuments and promoting North Korean propaganda, haven't just enraged the public, but have also cast an uncomfortable spotlight on South Korea's judicial process. This case isn't only about delivering justice, it's also about defending national pride. The situation has spiraled far beyond Somali's control, with his fate now entangled in South Korea's political and legal proceedings. A circulating theory suggests South Korea might choose to keep Somali detained until a potential shift in US leadership makes deportation less appealing or likely. However, many agree that the possibility of sending Somali back to the US anytime soon is slim, given the chaos he's caused. Remarkably, Somali seems detached from reality, reportedly banking on intervention from the US Embassy, an outcome most see as unrealistic given the gravity of his actions. One Reddit user captured the prevailing mood, writing, "Big elections are coming up, and politicians will want to look their best. Somali will probably be made an example, and I'm all for it." While South Korea's next local elections aren't until 2026, Somali's case presents an opportunity for politicians to showcase their strength and decisiveness. A harsh sentence wouldn't just deliver justice, it would likely resonate deeply with the public and become a moment of national pride. To make matters worse for Somali, his stunt involving the North Korean anthem has the potential to elevate his charges to a much more serious level. By venturing into issues of national security, he may have sealed his own fate. The legal ramifications of promoting propaganda tied to North Korea are far graver than any of his previous antics. For a judge, dismissing such charges lightly would be nearly impossible. If the court determines that Somali's actions were motivated by financial gain or the pursuit of views, it paints a damning picture of calculated disrespect and exploitation. Simply brushing it off as clout chasing won't hold water. When you factor in the public outrage, political dynamics, and the critical issue of national security, it's clear Somali is walking into a legal maelstrom he's unlikely to survive. As one observer put it, this case isn't just about him anymore. It's about sending a message to the world that South Korea won't stand for this kind of behavior. Somali's future looks increasingly bleak, yet he reportedly clings to the misguided hope of US intervention, a belief that seems more delusional by the day. The idea that the US will swoop in to rescue Johnny Somali is looking more improbable by the day. With his long history of tarnishing the country's reputation on the global stage, whispers of a potential revocation of his citizenship are beginning to circulate. If that were to happen, the very rights he's counting on for salvation could disappear overnight, leaving him entirely exposed. What's truly astonishing is how Somali has managed to evade serious consequences despite pulling off some of the most outrageous and offensive stunts imaginable. Speculation about him seeking asylum in North Korea is circulating, but it seems more like a desperate fantasy than a viable plan. If he even attempts to flee South Korea, it will undoubtedly backfire, piling on additional charges and ensuring his accountability. One online comment captures the situation succinctly. Remember when racist Johnny Somali played North Korean propaganda in public and on buses? Well, he doesn't realize that this can actually be used against him in court. The poetic irony of the situation is hard to ignore. His own actions are becoming the very evidence that seals his fate. At this stage, the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against him. Whether North Korea might entertain his asylum plea out of spite or leave him to face the consequences in South Korea remains uncertain. However, one thing is abundantly clear. Johnny Somali has run out of options, and his path forward looks increasingly grim. Will Johnny Somali face a lengthy sentence in South Korea's prison system, or could this case set a global precedent for cracking down on rogue streamers? What's your take on his situation? Can he possibly find a way to redeem himself, or is he doomed to spend years behind bars for his actions? Share your opinions and perspectives in the comments below.